All right, let me go over the answers first, and then we'll do several of them on the board. Number 1, we did in class yesterday. Number 2, put down. Thank you. My answer may not match yours, and yours could still be correct, so don't erase yours. My answer for number 2, triangle TSR, similar to triangle TWS, similar to triangle SWR. Let's say instead of having my answer, you have SRT. Then you should have WST, WRS. So find the order and make sure you're consistent then, even if it doesn't match exactly the way mine's written. Number 5, 2.4. Number 6, 7.1. Number 7 is 16. Number 8 is 6. 9 is 8. 10 is 4.5. And 11 is a tricky one. We will definitely do 11. The answer is 2. I don't expect you to have all of it completely right. I expect the setup, triangles, the proportion, and then the cross multiplying I will help you with. Let's go to the front. Which ones would you like to see on the front? If you don't pick some, I will pick some.
5.
Number 5. So the directions say find the length of the altitude to the hypotenuse. This is the altitude. I also told you that this whole thing was 5. So let's go ahead and check your triangles. I always start with the large triangle. So in this large triangle, the right angle is here, which makes the hypotenuse 5. Of the other sides, I have 4 and 3. 4 is longer. The longer side I put there, shorter side down there. The next triangle I'm going to go with is this one. Look carefully. The right angle is no longer up here. I kind of cut it. I don't have that full 90 anymore. I took a part of it. The right angle is here, which means the hypotenuse has to be here. I don't know this side. It's less than 5. I don't know if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 3.7. I don't know. So I'm going to leave it blank. And then I have this short side, which is X. And my last triangle, find the right angle right here, which means the hypotenuse is across from that, 3. Of the sides left, I have this little piece and this piece. When they look alike, you're not sure which is bigger or smaller. We should never have to guess. This should always happen. I'm probably going to say it multiple times again today. This altitude will always appear here and here. So you don't have to say, is that the long or the short side? If it's the altitude, it's going to be the short side of this triangle and the tall side of that one. Now I can compare some triangles. Let's say I want to compare 5 and 4 are in the same place. 3 and X are in the same place. Every problem we have our triangles, our proportion, and then we cross multiply. All right, other ones on the front. Is there anyone that got all of them right, maybe except 11, without doing the triangles? I don't think I've had anybody yet today. Okay, so this means everybody is doing triangles, which we should be doing. What else do you want to see on the front? Otherwise, I'll pick another one. Yep. 8. Here we go. Large triangle. Find the right angle. Here it is. So across from that is 3 and 12, 15. Long side not labeled, short side not labeled. Leave them blank. Don't put X. Don't put Y. Just leave them blank. Really don't put X because X is already in the picture. Your next triangle, the angle is not going to be right there anymore. That's for the big triangle. My right angle is right here. So that tells me my hypotenuse is right there, and it's not listed, so I'm going to leave that part blank. The long side is 12. The short side is x. My last triangle. Find the right angle. These will always be like right next to each other. Hypotenuse is blank. Long side is x. Short side is 3. Double check. This altitude must always appear here and here, which it does. So it tells me I probably did it right. From there, we can do, let's compare this triangle with this one. 12 and x and 3. Remember, x times x is x squared. Any others on the front? We have plenty of time. 6. So for 6, this was 17. That was the altitude. All right, large triangle. Right angle is here, which tells me the hypotenuse is 17. Long side 15, short side 8. We have questions on that. I don't want to get done and people say, I just don't know where to put the numbers. That's the whole lesson. That's what we're reviewing. To where to put the numbers are. Which triangle are you looking at? Where's the right angle? That's where I start. I'm looking at the big triangle. The right angle is right here. So this is the hypotenuse across from it. There's 2 sides left. One's bigger than the other. I always put the bigger one right there. I'm going to repeat this for the next triangle. So here's another triangle. Where's the right angle? It's right here. So I'm about to find the hypotenuse, 15. This side, I don't know. Long side, I don't know. The shorter side is x. Lastly, this triangle, find the right angle. It's here. So my hypotenuse is across from that, 8. Which is longer? Maybe this one looks a little longer. Maybe you can't tell. When you can't tell, we shouldn't guess. This altitude, x, will always appear here and here. So that tells me it's got to go there. From here, I have a couple options of what I want to compare. Maybe I want to compare these 2 triangles. Cross multiply, we should get 7.1. All right, let's do number 9 for sure. Flip it over. Number 9, large triangle, right angle, means the hypotenuse is here. 8 and 8 is 16. The other sides are just going to be blank. Now, you might be thinking, oh, which triangle is the next one? Which one is bigger? It doesn't matter which one you go to next. As long as you follow the rule, this altitude appears here and here. I already know it's x, so I know x is going to be here. I know x is going to be there. Let's say I pick this triangle next. Here's the right angle. The hypotenuse is blank. So I should have a blank hypotenuse, an x, and an 8. So my hypotenuse is blank, and I already have an x down here. The only place left for 8 is right there. Hypotenuse is blank. I have x and 8. It does matter where they go, but we already determined the altitude will go here and here. Was that clear? Okay, because this is a hard one. So now I'm going to do this last triangle. The right angle is here, so the hypotenuse is again blank. Nothing on the hypotenuse. Leaves me an 8 and an x to fill in. It does matter where they go. Even though you can't tell which is longer, the altitude we've determined has to go there. So 8 must go there. Now I'm ready to compare. I'll compare those and these. 8 times 8 is 64. X times x is x squared. Okay, we actually get 8, which makes sense to see why you couldn't tell which was bigger or smaller. They were actually both 8. Would we like 10? Yeah? Okay, let's do 10. I'm actually going to pause for a minute. Look over number 10. We've done a lot more examples. We may be a little better at it now. Check your work, your 3 triangles right now. If you skipped it, do it now. See where we may have went wrong. If you're not tracing it, maybe start doing that. Take your pencil and actually trace it out, and then trace out the right angle. Even though it's there, draw it in with your pencil. That tells you the hypotenuse is 1 and 4, so 5. We have 2 sides left. The longer side is x. Short side is blank. Trace out your next triangle. Trace out the right angle. You should have x as your hypotenuse. Long side 4. Short side is blank. Trace the triangle. Find the right angle. Hypotenuse is blank. 1 is the shorter side. Let's check that altitude part. Here's the altitude. There is not a number here. There's not a variable here. It's blank, which means this is going to be blank. If there's a number here, that number goes here and here. If there's a variable here, that variable goes there and there. If it's blank, those are blank. If we remember that, that's going to solve a lot of problems. And now I'm ready to set up my proportion x over 4, 5 over x. Is it more clear today than yesterday? Good. All right, let's do 11 together because at the end, it's a little tricky. Let's check the setup. Your right angle is here, so your hypotenuse, 6 plus z in this case, I guess. Short side is 4. Next triangle. Hypotenuse is blank. I have 2 sides left. Hey, look, this is blank. That means this is blank. No numbers there, no numbers there. So as I'm looking at this one, I've already determined the hypotenuse has no number. There is a 6. Well, the 6 can't go here because that has to be blank. The only place left for it is right there. And this triangle, right angle here, hypotenuse 4. There's another blank side and the side with z. We've determined the blank side is here. The z has to go there. If you don't already have that, we should be doing that now, correcting it. Keep going with me if you don't have this. 6 plus z over 4, 4 over z. You can set them in the blue basket there.
On the blue basket?
Thank you.
This is yours too, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Are you going back to Learning Lab?
Yeah.
Could you put that in fifth hour?
Of course.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, let's cross multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. And don't forget parentheses here. Write this with me. I don't think many have from here on correct, and that's okay. I forgot this was an extra difficult one to give you a heads up on this one. We should have gotten to this point. We know from here we should be distributing, so let's distribute that z. Z plus z squared. Angelo, I don't think you have this. Now let's move the 16 to the other side. Just subtract 16 on both sides. Then we're going to get this in what we call standard form, which is just your highest exponent first. So that z squared we're going to write first, and then the 6z, and then the minus 16. Here's why this problem is different and more difficult, which is why we're going over it. Normally, we have problems that end up like this. You divide by 6 here, and you're done. You have an answer, just like all the other problems. But this one has a z squared and a 6z. So what we have to do is we have to factor. You learned factoring in Algebra 1. I will give you a quick rundown on how to do it because it's been a little bit. Factoring. There are easy factoring problems, medium factoring problems, and difficult factoring problems. This fits under the category of easy factoring. So we should catch on after I go over it. These two numbers must multiply to this. So what multiplies to give me z squared? What times what? Z times z. There we go. See, that's why this is an easier one, because it's only one option. Now, these two numbers have to multiply to this. There's a lot of ways to get 16. So please make a list on your paper. You can ignore the negative for now. 1 times 16 multiplies to 16. What else? Shout it out. What else multiplies to 16?
2 times 8.
2 times 8. And there's another one. Yep, 4 times 4. So we have to pick one of these pairs. And here's how you know which one to pick. They have to add to 6. They have to add to that number. Now, none of them currently add to 6, but with a negative, could one of those pairs add to 6? Yeah. If the 2 is negative, 2 negatives and 8 positives will make 6. And that's kind of how we can double check that we did get the negative 16. So I will put a negative 2 here, and I will put a positive 8 there. That's factoring. The first 2 terms multiply to the first term. The last 2 terms multiply to the last term. But if there's more than one way to get that last term, you find the one that adds to this middle number. Okay, to get our final answer, we set this equal to 0 and this equal to 0. I put a line through my z so it doesn't look like a tube. Get z by itself, so we have to add 2 to both sides. Get z by itself. Now you'll notice I said the answer is 2. I didn't even mention anything about -8 being an answer. Does anybody know why I left out -8 as an answer for Z?
Is it negative?
Yeah, I've never seen a negative side length for any measurement before. So if you do get a negative and it doesn't make sense with your problem, then you would ignore it. You are not going to have to do this factoring more than one time. Maybe not at all, but maybe only once on a quiz or test. When do you have to do it? If you have a Z or an X squared and an X, you're going to have to do it. Get it in what we call standard form. Oops, this one is standard form. Highest exponent to lowest and factor. All right. Let's take your scores.